The best way to predict the future is to create it, says Peter Drucker. Time is precious, time is money, and this is the Time for Money Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Good day, viewers, and welcome to a fresh episode of Atn Business on Atlantic Television Network, right here in the city of Port Harcourt. This is the network's medium of bringing the happenings in the economy sector of society to our discerning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing to the doorstep of viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its delivery is accentuated through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government economic activities, private sector business activities, laced with expert opinions, stakeholders analysis, and correspondence reports. Remember, we are open for adverts, placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We take a short break. When we return, we'll fill out the details.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all your bits.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Atn Business. Joining me today on Atn Business is no other person than Dr. Henry Bassi. He's a political analyst. We'll be talking about finance, Tinubu's economic diplomacy blooming, says Wale Edun. A Minister of France and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, says the economic diplomacy carried out by President Bola Tinubu around the world is generating the desired results. The minister said this while briefing State House correspondent after meeting with the president in Lagos on Sunday. Edun said the president had embarked on fruitful economic diplomacy on all the continents, Brazil in South America, China and India in Asia, as well as Germany and France in Europe and elsewhere. He said as a follow-up on economic diplomacy, he led a delegation to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia recently to ensure the success of the developing relationship between him and Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the delegation included Senator Abubakar Bagudu, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, and Mr. Wale Tinubu, a member of the Presidential Economic Coordination Council. Others were Ms. Sanyade Okoli, Special Advisor to the President on Finance and the Economy, and Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. The delegation held talks with Saudi Exim Bank, the Saudi Development Fund, and the Saudi Agricultural and Livestock Investment Company, SALIC, to advance ongoing conversations about their investment in Nigeria. Twice in the last year, Mr. President has been in Saudi Arabia, had meetings with the Crown Prince and talked about trade, economic cooperation, financial cooperation and collaboration. We just followed up on some of those leads across the various opportunities for foreign direct investment, trade partnerships and even financial investment, said Edu. He said the South Agricultural Livestock Investment Company had on December 23rd increased its investment in Olam by $1.2 billion. Edun said the president had taken steps to stabilize the Nigerian macroeconomic environment to encourage such investments in the country. The minister said the takeaways from the visit included prospective investment, foreign exchange and jobs for Nigerians. If you look at the demographics of Saudi Arabia, to the extent that they are investing abroad, they're not going to be exporting their people. They're not like some of the other big populous countries of Asia. So clearly, where they invest, what is jobs for Nigerians? That's the simplest way I would put it. Bagudu said he was confident that more investments would follow the engagements of the Nigerian delegation to Saudi Arabia. On the prospects of the economy in 2025, he said the economy had turned the corner. I think we have made the tough choices. We have seen the worst we could see, and it's not unexpected. So what we expect to see in 2025 is a better economy, lower inflation, more employment opportunities, more support for businesses, and more infrastructure development. We also expect more funding of security and better security and all those priority areas. Human capital development, education, and health. Well, Dr. Henry, this is quite a good one. Economic policy by Wale Edun saying that the Tinubu's economic diplomacy is blooming, is flourishing, probably due to the ties they had with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And it also went ahead to mention that this diplomacy, as it were, is going to benefit the Nigerian people in terms of agriculture, in terms of development, in terms of infrastructure. I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Thank you, Victor, for having me. Let's go straight to the point. The Minister of Finance of Federal Republic of Nigeria visited Saudi Arabia for business talks, and also that would in a long way benefits Nigeria economically. And so, having said so, I want to say that Nigerian problem is the economy.
All right.
And being the those who understand the trajectory of African economy, that Nigeria economy in Africa is the fastest growing economy. But I, as an analyst who take a look at what is happening in Nigeria, should we, as citizens of Federal Republic of Nigeria, including me that is talking right now, say that the trajectory of Nigeria's economy is blooming, is successful, as highlighted by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun? Well, I shouldn't say no, and I shouldn't say yes. Now, why do I say so? Because for you to, judge Nigeria economy and put it in the right perspective, you should look at an average life of Nigerians.
All right.
I think that will also educate us the more to see whether actually Nigeria economy is actually doing well or not. Well, for them to have gone to Saudi Arabia to talk about Nigeria economy, how to bring investment to Nigeria, and I heard you make a mention of a $1.2 billion investment that should be coming from Saudi Arabia. It's good. It's a good thing.
All right.
But the point here is that for us to be very, very, proactive in whatever we are doing, we should merge our talks with actions. I think that will help us as a nation who wants to grow economically to say, okay, this is where we want to go come 2025, which in less than 12 hours will be in the year 2025. So for me, for Wale Edun, who happened to also be the coordinating minister for economy, to say that I shouldn't say is doing badly.
All right.
You understand? Is trying as a government to make sure that things are put into proper perspective to improve Nigeria economy come 2025.
All right, so let's take a look at the economic sector, the agricultural sector, beg your pardon, that is going to affect the livestock investment company. And also we have a figure here by Olam that's $1.2 billion. Edun said that the president had taken steps to stabilize the Nigerian macroeconomic environment and also to encourage such investment in Nigeria. Let's take a look at this amount, being stipulated here, how this is going to, help the agricultural sector bloom more better come 2025.
Interesting. You're talking about an investment company in Saudi Arabia, Olam to be precise, who projected about $1.2 billion to invest in Nigeria economy, in the sector of agri, environment, and the rest of them. But for me, it's a good thing that will happen to Nigeria come 2025. It's a prospect that, look, 2025 will bring good tidings to Nigeria.
Okay.
Okay?
As regards to agriculture.
Yes, as regard to agriculture. But looking at what we have domestically, for me, it's not enough. And so that is why for them to talk about bringing in a company from Saudi Arabia to invest in agriculture, for me, it's a right step in the right direction.
All right.
If that is materialized at the end of the day, I think Nigeria will smile at the end of the day. But let it not just be paperwork. At the end of the day, nothing good will come out of it. Let them match their word to action so that at the end of the day, Nigeria will see that and say, okay, we are satisfied with what we've seen so far on ground.
Even when it happens, it appears to be a very good move, right, from the presidency, as it were. And the statement still went ahead to say that this is going to affect even the foreign exchange. Remember, we had this issue of being the forex trade and all of that being closed here in Nigeria. And they also say this is going to provide jobs for Nigerians. We've had the presidency and so many ministers come up to, say they talk about the diplomatic ties they actually have, and to some extent the ties are not yielding any positive results as it were. Probably it might be, but not to the extent that was propagated. I would like to get your reactions as to this. Do you think, or do you feel like this is going to to yield more results come 2025, or how effective this is going to be like?
Thank you very much. I think this is key when you point out that most of these diplomatic ties is not yielding results, considering of what is on ground currently.
Yes.
When yesterday we were able to cite some of the diplomatic appointment that the president will make in a few days, as regard the appointment of ambassadors. I think this is key, that look, you don't just appoint people to go there, but improved that our bilateral relationship in order to improve that we need in this country in terms of that relationship development. But agriculture is the key of any nation's development, because no matter what happened, building infrastructure of different kinds, the people need to eat. Now, when you don't eat, and it's a problem. It's a problem. But I think that Nigeria agricultural sector at the moment still need huge investment.
Well, this is talking about foreign exchange. Probably this might, enhance the naira. The naira floats as regards the dollar. Having we do not want to have that inflation coming any longer.
Victor was trying to dodge. I was trying to dodge. You see, it's not a good thing that happened to Nigeria since May 2029.
Okay.
I knew the exchange rate before May 2029. That is 2023 May. Now, when you look at what is happening today, it's alarming. It's alarming that Nigerian currency is very low in terms of rating in the world capital market, which is not the right thing. It's not the right thing. Currently, a dollar is equivalent to 101,650 naira per dollar.
All right.
It's alarming. So for me, we need to look at the key areas of Nigeria's economy and do the right thing, so that when we bring the right investors into these sectors of our economy, we should allow them to do the needful, because when a country improves its industrial sector to a certain level, then you can think about the improvement of our currency. You understand? Because as it stands now, looking at the ratio of Nigerian industrial sector, you will see that it's low. You can't improve your economy when industrially nothing is happening. It's what you have as input also determined as what output.
All right, so I feel the agricultural sector would also help in terms of the exchange rates, right? To allow naira to float higher, or to have higher interest rates.
Yes, it will
than
boost
the dollars.
It will boost the economy, not just stabilizing the exchange rate. It will boost the economy to a very large extent.
Okay.
Now, let me also bring this to bear. When we look about China's economy, agricultural, my brother, I was marveled that China is not only improving technologically, you understand, or scientifically. Their agricultural sector is, in fact, has improved to the extent that I don't see, apart from Taiwan, when it comes to the production of rice and all of that, but China's agricultural sector is one of the things that should tell us that, look, they are not only improved in technological aspect of it, but the agricultural sector is booming is booming.
Well, a lot of Nigerians are, have lauded these efforts. They've applauded this move by the presidency, with this economic diplomatic ties now that this is going to touch the health sector, the agricultural sector, as well as infrastructure and human capital development. Well, there are some other people who are have raised skepticism about, the effect of how this is going to be like. They're not sure this will come to be effected. So I would like to also get your point on that because, yeah, we've had, like I said, earlier, we've had lots of promises from the government, like those are the opinions of Nigeria, actually, that they've had most of the promises from the Nigerian government, and all of a sudden it fades. It's been swept under the carpet. We don't hear anything as regards to the ties, the benefits of the ties, what it has done, and what it's been doing. So for them coming with this now for 2025, how sure are you? Personally, I'd like to get your thoughts on this.
Okay, it takes the critical voices of the minority Nigerians. So for me, I don't see criticism as something that is bad. It's something that should tell the government, look, in this area you've not done well, you need to improve. For me, that is what criticism is all about.
I mean, they are skeptical about
it. The skeptical, that is a fear.
All right.
The fear aspect of it. Will this thing translate to what we need or what we want?
All right.
For me, I told you from the beginning that this movement, for me, is good, is in the right direction. But let them march their words to action.
All right.
It's simple.
Interesting. All right, on to the next topic now. On October 3rd, 2024, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, transmitted the tax reform bills to the National Assembly for their consideration. The tax reform bills aim to promote uniform procedures for a consistent and efficient administration of tax laws to facilitate tax compliance by taxpayers in line with the current realities. The tax reform bills comprise the Nigerian Tax Bill, Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. Would highlighted some of the key proposed amendments to the existing laws, new provisions in the Nigerian tax bill, and the potential implications for businesses and individuals. Revision of graduated tax rates for personal income tax purposes. Section 558 and the fourth schedule to the bill substitutes the old graduating rates with a no graduating rate, thereby exempting the 800,000 naira from income tax on annual basis. This amendment implies that taxpayers will pay lower taxes at lower income levels compared to the current structure. These may encourage higher disposable incomes, and potentially stimulate consumer spending. Introduction of rent relief under consolidated relief allowance and requirements for tax deduction notification. The bill replaces consolidated relief allowances with rent relief allowance. A taxable person shall be granted a rent relief of 200,000 or 20% of annual rent paid, whichever is lower, and requires taxpayers to write to the relevant tax authority (RTA) for claiming any tax deduction. Exemption of compensation and damages from chargeable gains. Section 50, subsection 1(2) of the bill provides that sums not exceeding 50 million naira obtained by way of compensation or damages for any wrong or injury suffered by an individual in his person or in his profession or vocation, including compensation for loss of office or employment. Wrong or injury for libel, slander, or enticement shall not be chargeable gains. The increase in the threshold to 50 million naira, along with the rise in the capital gains tax rate from 10% to same rate as CIT, 27.5% in 2025 year of assessment and 25% from 2026 year of assessment, aims to mitigate potential revenue losses to the government from the revised threshold. Non-proration of capital allowance for companies with minimal non-taxable income. Section 27, subsection 4 of the bill provides that capital allowance computed should not be prorated where the non-taxable income constitutes less than 10% of the total income of the company. This will ensure that companies can fully utilize the capital allowances without adjustment due to a minor proportion of non-taxable income. introduction of development levy for companies and allocation to education and technology funds. The bill introduces development levy which shall be imposed on the assessable profits of all companies other than small companies, non-resident companies, and assessable profits for hydrocarbon tax purposes at the following rates. For 2025 and 2026 years of assessment, 4% for 2027, 2028, and 2029 years of assessment, 3% and 2030 year of assessment, and thereafter 2% which shall be solely for the student education loan fund. Wow. This is quite interesting as regards the tax reform bills. That's probably the nothing that's condemning, but there are lots of benefits as regards to the tax reform bills. I would like to get your analysis.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting. For now, I had access to this bill, do you understand? And I have gone through it, and I saw that it's not in any way contradict or trying to victimize a section of this country, as some has alleged, because I call that an allegation.
All right.
But when you spend time to study this bill critically, you will see that it's trying to remove the burden from Nigerians as it used to be previously. But a section in this country and give support so that it will be passed into law and possibly assented by Mr. President so that it will benefit Nigerians. Now, as you were going through the content of what you just highlighted, for me, it's of that sentence as alleged or regarded by some sections in Nigeria. Want to reduce burden from Nigerians, and haven't take a critical look at this and saw that, look, this has to be reduced drastically to enable even the low-income earners to be able to make sure that at the end of the day you contribute that which not consume or take the entire thing that you've earned in the month or at the end of the year, as the case may be.
All right.
But a section of this country, for whatever reason, is the House of Representatives, trying to, that the bill is coming to, to weaken some section of the country. But the question here is, those sections who kick against this bill that is yet to be passed into law, have they studied this bill? Have they? Now, if they have done it, is it anti-Nigerians or anti-North or anti-section of this country? My observation and answer is no. Is to reduce the burden from those. But as it stands now, they said the majority carries the vote. And of course, when you look at that section of the country that is kicking against this bill, if, for me, an enlightenment is not carried out, at the end of the day, it might go their own way. But I am praying seriously that they should see the need to support this bill and give it deserves, acceleration support to make sure this becomes law and relieve Nigeria. Because for me, the bill seeks to help low-income earners.
All right, so let's talk about the potential impact of deducted, as the tax, to complement the rent issue. I would like to get your opinion on that.
Thank you very much. My problem is not just the law. This section that specifically spell out this will be implemented to the letter. Because, let me tell you, this will benefit Nigerians the more. If this is done and the right approach is, is adopted to make sure that it's fully implemented, fine and good for Nigerians. Would they allow it to be implemented? That's the question. Because a man who works so tirelessly, one professor I respected so much said something. He said, in America, if you go to America, people can work and buy a house. But in Nigeria, we work and pay. At the end of the day, you have nothing left. So it's, for me, this will affect and benefit the low-income earners. But the problem, like I said, implementation. Will they allow it to see the light of the day? Or will it only be a document that when it is approved and assented to by the president, they will just fold, put it in the locker, unlock it, and it ends there? For me, this section of the bill is very interesting, and I commend the drafter of this bill that if peradventure it scaled through all these hurdles and passed into law, it will really help Nigeria to improve on the aspect of rent, because as currently the rate in which the house owners increase house rent, my brother, is alarming.
All right, to also take a look of the potential impacts as of this tax law as regards consumer rights. You know, we are being given this waiver when it comes to purchasing goods that we consume, and there's some percentage of tax attached to it. And now this law rightly states that it's going to be reduced. What would you make of that as well?
Well, like I said, this is what contains in the bill. That is going to reduce the VAT, that's the VAT, value added income tax, and all of that. Currently, it's about 7% that's being deducted as VAT. Okay.
7.5.
So 7.5%, which is for me is high, looking at how things are right now. So if going by this content in the bill, that it will reduce drastically, it is for the good of Nigerians. You understand? By virtue of what we produce in this country and what we consume, if government really want to do the right thing and put the right measures on place to make sure that the consumers get value, this supposed to be between 3-4%. 3-4%. But remember, this was increased by the previous administration to 7%. It was about 5%. So the previous administration, for whatever reasons, they look at it, increase it from that 5% to 7.5%. But however, if this government look at it and said, look, we don't need to suffer Nigerians. We are citizens of this great country called Nigeria. So if the government, by one way or the other, want to favor us and make sure that Nigeria smiles and think that it will be easy and convenient for us, for them to reduce this for the benefit of Nigerians, fine and good. It will be appreciated to a very large extent. But I keep saying, will it be implemented?
Well, having gone through the tax laws and their potential impact, you've said quite a lot. I would also like to get your advice. What would you advise the northern parts of the countries who are kicking against this, the establishment of this bill?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the bill, like I said, I have gone through the bill, spent time, went through it. I understood that it is not anti any group or a section of this country. I advise those concerned, those that the law allowed to work on that bill, to keep enlightening the people, especially the northern part of this country. I'm talking about the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Okay.
You understand? Let them carry out their, their oversight functions. Talk to the people. Let them sit in it. That, the thing that generates most of this problem has to do with you don't consume alcohol. But here in the South, we consume alcohol. And it will not be good that tax are being made into where these particular beverages are consumed. And this is where the money is coming from. They will share and give it to you. But if going through this, it will neutralize everything and make everything be simpled and in the right way. I can't tell you that I don't like this. But when you take it through my back and give it to me by my left hand, I will take it. It's hypocrisy. But I'm sure the National Assembly both houses, that is the Senate and the House of Reps, would do their work. They just have Christmas and New Year break.
Sure.
You understand? To make sure that they go into work, do the needful, talk to them, enlighten them about this bill that is not anti-anybody, but it is for the generality good of Nigerians.
All right. I quite love that, the conclusion of it all. Thank you so much, Dr. Harry Bassi. I mean, it's been an insightful moment with you right here on Atn Business, like always. Thank you also for your time. I look forward to having you next on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll look at the stock markets and what the exchange rate is today. Do not go away. Stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all your picks on the happenings around the globe. Stay
Thanks for staying with us. And now on to the stock market. FX markets and current exchange rates. Asian stocks eased on Tuesday in cautious end-of-year trading that has seen investors scale back bets of deep U.S. rate cuts in 2025 and brace for the incoming Trump administration, with the dollar standing tall against most other currencies. Volumes were light with a holiday for the New Year looming and Japan on holiday for the rest of the week, with the Santa rally losing some steam as elevated treasury yields weigh on high equity valuations and boost the greenback. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan notched down 0.2%, but was set for an 8% gain in 2024. Its second straight year in the black. China's blue chip CSI 300 index was flat, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng index was 0.3% higher in early trading. Data earlier in the day showed China's manufacturing activity expanded for a third straight month in December, but at a slower pace, suggesting a breeze of fresh stimulus is helping to support the world's second largest economy. On Wall Street, all three major U.S. indexes closed on Monday with sharp losses and a broad sell-off at the end of a strong year, mainly due to end-of-year tax positioning, valuations, worries, and uncertainties about 2025. Kyle Roda, senior financial markets analyst at Capital.com, said the principal issue for the markets right now is the risk of a re-rating in bond markets due to persistent inflation in the U.S. and the impacts of Trump tax cuts and tariffs. Despite the year-end weakness, U.S. stocks have surged this year, with the Nasdaq for about a 30% annual gain and the S&P 500 headed for more than a 24% rise. The gloomy year-end mood is set to continue in Europe, with Euro Stoxx 50 futures down 0.67%, German DAX futures down 0.62%, and FTSE futures 0.80% lower. next year will be on the Federal Reserve's rate path after the central bank earlier this month projected just 2 rate cuts, down from 4 in September due to stubbornly high inflation. Cash treasuries were untraded due to the holiday in Japan, while treasury futures were little moved. 10-year yield stood at 4.54% on Monday, having gained nearly 69 basis points this year. Markets are also gearing up for President-elect Donald Trump's policies around looser regulation, tax cuts, tariff hikes, and tighter immigration that are expected to be both pro-growth and inflationary, keeping U.S. yields elevated. The market's response to these policies will play a crucial role in deciding whether stocks will continue to gain into the first quarter of 2025 or if they lead to a cooling off period correction, said Tony Sycamore, markets analyst at IG. Wall Street ends sharply lower in penultimate trading day, closed in negative territory on Monday in light volume at the top of a holiday shortened week in the second to last trading session of an eventful year, in which all 3 indexes posted strong double-digit gains. End-of-year tax positioning valuations, climbing treasury yields, and uncertainties about 2025 all contributed to the risks of sentiment. The 3 major U.S. stock indexes bounced off early lows, but still were down more than 0.5%. The broad sell-off dragged all 11 major S&P 500 sectors into negative territory on the day. Investors are saying the S&P, even after this recent sell-off, is up over 50% in the last 2 years, said Olivia Poche, Senior Vice President at Wealth Spare Advisors in New York. Maybe we should take some chips off the table and protect those gains. And when you have thin volume, it doesn't take a lot to move markets. Despite recent weakness, 2024 has been a banner year for U.S. equities. The Nasdaq is on track for about a 30% annual gain, and the S&P 500 is headed for more than a 24% rise for 2024. The Dow remains up just over 13% from the last closing levels of 2023. In U.S. politics, former President Donald Trump was convicted of 32 felonies early in the year, then won re-election to a second term after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race to be replaced as Democratic candidate by Vice President Kamala Harris. Chip maker Nvidia stock shot up nearly 180% this year as investors placed heavy bets in the promise of emergent artificial intelligence technology. In November, Nvidia replaced rival chip market Intel in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Markets start beginning of investors expecting a global stock rally to fizzle swift U.S. interest rates, cuts to boost treasuries and soften the dollar, and emerging markets currencies to strengthen have firmly defied that consensus. World stocks are set for a second consecutive annual gain of 16%, unfazed by wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, Germany's economic contraction and government collapse, French budget chaos, and China's slowdown that comes mostly thanks to a second year of huge gains from Wall Street stocks as artificial intelligence fever and robust economic growth sucked capital into U.S. assets and took the dollar up 6.6% against peers in 2024. U.S. exuberance rose after Donald Trump's November 5th election win as traders focused on the president-elect's plans for tax cuts and deregulation, with a surge in animal spirits propelling cryptocurrency Bitcoin 2% annual gain. World markets enter 2025 increasing exposed to U.S. trends, a risk factor that burst into life after the Federal Reserve roiled markets this month by pointing to fewer rate cuts in the year ahead. That came after weak U.S. jobs data and a surprise mid-year Japanese rate hike that pressured dollar-denominated assets and sent a volatility-wrecking ball swinging through global markets and sparked a short-lived rout in August. Debt investors, meanwhile, are growing anxious about Trump's proposed trade tariffs, refueling inflation and fear excessive White House borrowing that could roil the $28 trillion Treasury markets and spark wider government bond disruption. Well, this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atn Business on Atlantic Television Network. Remember, we are open for adverts, placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our Atn socials: Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Victor Peter. Thank you so much for watching.